What's going on YouTube? So people have been clamoring for a hybrid version of the very popular Nissan Rogue for a while now. And today we technically have one, although it may not be exactly what a lot of people had in mind. So let's go ahead, jump right in and check it out. Let's get started here with a quick spec dump. So under the hood of the plug-in hybrid Rogue, we have a 2.4 liter 4-cylinder engine with a lithium-ion battery pack. That's going to be about 20 kilowatt hours. That is together going to give you 248 total system horsepower. All-wheel drive will be standard equipment, and we also have an eCVT. Now, as far as your estimated pure electric range, that's going to be 38 miles.
Now, if you're looking to buy one or any new vehicle, we would encourage you to go to carconfections.com/newcarquotes to get the best price. And of course, we need to shut up the hood so we can take a look at the exterior as well as the luxurious interior.
All right, so let's jump right into the exterior design. So you might notice right from the start that this doesn't exactly look like the normal version of the Rogue that's been on sale for a few years now, and that's because this is strongly based off of the Mitsubishi Outlander, and I mean very strongly based off of. You can see up here in the front it's going to be mostly the same, except we do have some unique elements for the Rogue duty. So you've got that Nissan badging there and a little bit of updates to the grille here to match with some of the other Nissan products. Now, as far as the lighting is concerned, we've got a premium LED cluster on all models. It's going to be divided into a few chunks, so you've got the LED daytime running light up here at the top with a crystal design. This is the actual headlight unit. It's a reflector LED standard on all models, and we also have an LED fog light. By the way, this will only be offered in SL and Platinum grades. Moving on to the wheels, we've got a standard 20-inch alloy since all the models are going to be upper end examples. As you can see, it's got some nice gloss black finish. And then we also have a small amount of cladding that goes around the wheel arches, although not down here on the lower part of the body. As far as the mirrors are concerned, they have a gloss black finish as well, and they're loaded up with features including power folding.
Now, at the side of the Rogue plug-in hybrid, overall vehicle length is 185.4 inches. And in terms of design, of course, it looks very similar to the Outlander. We have a little bit of darkened chrome here on our lower window surrounds. Here on the Platinum, we also add the black roof rails. Now, let's go ahead and head around to the back of this new model. Now, when it comes to overall design, we have a pretty modern and good look to it. I've always liked the way the Outlander looks, and I think it actually translates pretty well here to the Nissan Rogue plug-in hybrid. So we have a spoiler up here at the top. We have a rear wiper right through here, and we also have Nissan branding here through the center section. This is really going to be the area where they spent most of their effort differentiating from the Outlander. Now, the taillights themselves are going to be partially LED. We have an LED brake light. However, we do have an incandescent turn signal and incandescent reverse light. I wish they had made that fully LED this year. And then dropping down, we have our Rogue plug-in hybrid branding. And all of this is going to be finished in body color or a piano black. I like that. Overall tow capacity is 1,500 pounds. Now let's talk safety features. So every Rogue plug-in hybrid will come with all 4 of your active safety features as standard equipment. But there's a lot to talk about on the inside with this model. But first, if you're new here, we're brothers and we've been reviewing cars since we were 12
and 16. We started young, and since then we've reviewed over 2,000 cars at every price point.
No matter what you're looking for, from our long-term vehicle videos to our side-by-side comparisons, we'd love for you to subscribe to be a part of our Car Confections family.
Let's learn a lot and have some fun with all the latest cars. Let's move on to the interior. First, here's our key fob. It's the typical Nissan key fob. No remote start on the fob itself, but I guess you can do it inside of the application instead. And then there's no sensor behind the handle. Just press that button there. That'll unlock the door and fold the mirrors outward. Now, let's take a look at the inside. Of course, you don't really need me to tell you, it does have a lot of Outlander elements if you're familiar with that product. And let's kind of go through some individual details. We'll start with the seats. Two things to keep in mind with this is the fact of the material changes between the trims. So you get a leatherette on the SL, and then you get the genuine quilted leather here on the Platinum grade. I like the way this looks. It's very premium for this segment. Another premium thing is the fact this actually offers massaging ability for the Platinum grade, which is something you can't get on the regular Rogue. Down below, we have power adjusting seats, and you have memory seats for both the driver and the passenger side. Let's go ahead and climb inside. Now, one of the things that we have always really liked about the Outlander is the fact that it has a very nice interior for the segment. And thankfully, that does translate here to the Rogue as well. So over on the door trim, we have a leatherette. You notice a really nice quilted design through the center section, and it extends up there as well. Piano black accenting. The upper dashboard is a soft touch plastic. We have more of the leatherette through the center section and through here as well. And then down even on the console, it is nicely padded with very solid build quality. And we'll fire it up with the push button start. Now let's jump into the details with the gauge cluster. First, this is a 12.3-inch digital gauge cluster. As you can see, it has some specific graphics for plug-in hybrid duty. It is standard on both versions. And then you also have a standard 10-inch head-up display on both versions. Moving back to the steering wheel, we've got a very nice design. I really like how thick it is, as well as the perforated leather on the sides there. As you can see, it's more of a Mitsubishi design, but we do have the Nissan branding right there in the center section. Rain sensing wipers, manual tilt and telescoping. It is also heated on the Platinum trim. Now let's dig into interior storage. Inside of here, we have a console. It's not overly large, but we do have a felt lining down there at the bottom. However, there's some other places to store things, including our two nice and boxy cup holders there. We also have a storage cubby right there in the front, which is a wireless phone charging pad. And then a little bit of storage along the sides, but you'll notice this is actually not a center pass-through like it is in the regular version of the Rogue. The shifter, though, is the same. Pull back for drive, bump back again if you want to activate the regen mode, and we also have paddle shifters on the steering wheel. And then when we go into reverse, here is our 360-degree camera system. As you can see, you've got the overhead view as well as the traditional view, and you also get active trajectory. Back behind that, you have your drive mode controller, and then you also have some other controls over here. This one is one you might want to use, which allows you to manually select if you want to be in EV mode or if you want to be using the engine option, or a combination of both. And you also have the electronic parking brake with brake hold. Moving on from that, we have our climate controls. This is actually a 3-zone automatic setup, but that's just for the Platinum trim level. And you have full physical control, so it's super nice and easy to use. And then you can even get into the rear adjustments up here in the front. Heated seats are included as standard equipment. Just be aware you cannot get seat ventilation. And then we also have physical controls for the volume knob and our audio system. So this is a Bose 9-speaker sound system on the Platinum grade. Let's go ahead and give it a sample. Very nice. The sound quality of this system certainly fills up the cabin nicely. It has a good bass as well, and I think it's a notable improvement over the standard sound system. All right, now let's talk about this infotainment system. So there's a little bit of kind of weirdness going on here with this. As you might notice, it looks kind of small. That's because this is the 9-inch display. This is what's standard on the plug-in hybrid version of the Rogue. Even though you get, of course, a larger display on the regular version of the Rogue, you also would get a larger display even on the Outlander plug-in hybrid, which will now be moving to a 12.3-inch display for 2026. This is still going to come with the old 9-inch display. Also outdated will be the technology inside, so the software is not the newest, meaning that you're not going to have Google built in. You're also not going to have wireless Android Auto, so you have to plug in for Android Auto, although you will have wireless Apple CarPlay still. Up top, we have an auto-dimming mirror. And then I'll press the button there and slide back the sunroof shade. That will reveal a panoramic style sunroof. And the front panel does open up.
Now let's take a look at the rear seats of the Rogue PHEV. Now when it comes to this, we have some pretty good numbers back here. So we're sitting at 38.5 inches of legroom, 39 inches of headroom. Those, like I said, are pretty good numbers for the segment, although I will say it is slightly smaller than some of the compact SUVs you may be cross-shopping this with. I brought along the official Car Confections ruler with me today so you can get a realistic knee room figure. This seat is adjusted to Drew, who's 5'8", I'm 5'9". Solid 9 inches of legroom, so that's quite good. My feet can also slide up underneath of the seats. And speaking of these seats, they do actually slide forward a really good distance. That's a super rare feature for this segment. And they have the ability to recline. If you press that in, that'll give you some nice recline for some good naps. Now, as far as the center area, the seats themselves do fold 40-20-40 split, so that means you can actually fold the center section down. That gives you 2 cup holders, as well as a nice padded armrest portion. And let's take a look at our other features. We have rear vents right here in the center section. Very happy to see that we have our own zone of climate, which we can adjust back here. Additionally, on the Platinum grade, that's where you're going to get the heated back seats. And then down below there, we have our USB-C port as well as a USB-A port. And we even have a household style outlet, so you can definitely keep things charged up here in the back of the Rogue. Now, let's take a look at the door trim. I'm happy to also tell you you have rear window sunshades in this model. Lots of leather all through the center section. You also have a little bit of carbon fiber, faux trim, and then a bit of door storage down in the bottom. So overall, it's a very nice rear seat. The Outlander has always had a nice one, and that definitely translates over here to the Rogue plug-in hybrid. Now I need to talk about a very unique thing for the Nissan Rogue plug-in hybrid. Of course, the traditional gas model does not have a third row, but this plug-in hybrid actually does have a third row. So it's a very small third row. I'll just insert a little clip of me, showing it off at the auto show just a little bit ago. But the third row itself is very much for emergencies only. It does mean that your maximum seating capacity can be increased up to, that would be 7 passenger seating on this model. But just be aware that that is going to be pretty much for emergencies only. It's about 18 inches of third row leg room. So it's not going to be big enough that you would, trade in your Tahoe for this Outlander PHEV. Now let's walk up to the cargo area. We have a standard power tailgate with the hands-free ability on all models. And let's talk about overall cargo capacity. So behind the third row of seats, if we were to have them folded up, we're sitting at about 13 cubic feet of space, 30 cubic feet behind the second row of seats, and about 65 cubic feet with all of the seats folded down. Now, if you're curious as to how that compares with some of the competition, we would encourage you to go to carconfections.com/vehicle rankings. We've looked at the numerous compact SUVs on the market, things like the Toyota RAV4, the Honda CR-V, popular models like that, and we've ranked them in the most important categories to this type of buyer, things like cargo capacity, interior luxury, technology, powertrain choices, value, and you can see the best options for yourself in each of those segments. So definitely, if you want to make an informed buying decision, check that out at carconfections.com/vehicle rankings. Now, when it comes back to this model in the cargo area, as you can see, you can easily fold the third row up just by grabbing this. It's actually not too hard to do whatsoever. We have the cargo cover installed, and then we also have these little handles that will allow us to fold the second row of seats down. They do fold rather aggressively, but as you can see, it does fold completely flat. Like I said, they fold 40-20-40 split folding, and let me go ahead and get our cargo length, width, and height figures. So overall, cargo length from behind Drew's driving position is about 74 inches. From behind the second row of seats, about 37 inches, and then from behind the third row would be about 16 inches. The opening is 44 inches wide, and the height, 31 inches tall. So that's all pretty good. The load-in height is 31 inches tall, And as far as other features, I do want to point out you have a household style outlet over here on the left-hand side of this vehicle. Well, guys, here we are behind the wheel of the all-new Nissan Rogue plug-in hybrid. In this test drive, we're going to be discussing quite a lot, as you can see on the screen right now. But first, we need to go ahead and start with a hard acceleration before we get things like our sound level reading.
All right, that was an acceleration to 60 miles per hour with the Rogue plug-in hybrid. So, what is this system made up of? Well, it's made up of a 2.4 liter 4-cylinder engine. That's going to be paired with your battery pack, which is about 20 kilowatt hours. And all that together is making 248 horsepower and 320 pound-feet of
332.
torque. 332.
Yeah. Yeah, so really good on the power front, really good on the torque front as well. Now, this shouldn't really come as too much of a surprise to you all that follow the channel closely. You may have seen our Outlander plug-in hybrid review that we've done a couple times on this channel. So it is basically that plopped here into the Nissan Rogue model, and overall, it's a very impressive system, honestly. So compared to the traditional gasoline Rogue, you will have more power, more torque, and of course more efficiency, if you're going to be using that, charging this vehicle and using it basically as a full electric product if you have the shorter commute. So certainly a lot going on here with the powertrain and a lot of good stuff going on. Now, that was an acceleration in the charge mode. We're trying to get a little bit of battery on this. Unfortunately, we are at a drive program and we're kind of on the latter end of driving this Rogue, so the battery has been depleted. So we're going to try and charge that up here at the beginning of our drive, and then that way you can get a good taste of what it's like when it has a little bit of range on it.
Right, because of course the main reason you would get a plug-in hybrid is the fact that you want to utilize that 38 miles of pure electric range. Nissan says this will charge up in about 7.5 hours, so ideally you would be charging this overnight. Maybe in the morning you have a commute that is under 40 miles. I think a lot of people have commutes that are under 40 miles, and then you'd be able to basically not get gas hardly ever at all. Yeah, nice and smooth. The engine itself is not too loud. And it's definitely a big power boost over top of the traditional Rogue. You're getting about 50 additional horsepower and quite a bit more torque. Although this does weigh more, of course, with the hybrid components. But I do think overall you can tell there's a little bit of a performance boost, over top of the standard model, in addition to having the battery electric range. All right, that was to 60 miles an hour in the automatic mode, which is going to be combining basically your engine and electric power into one. Acceleration feels pretty swift at first, and then it kind of dies off a little bit as you get towards the top end, like 45 miles an hour. That 45 to 60 seems to take a little bit longer for some reason than originally.
Yeah, I think that maybe the electric torque gets you off the line initially, and then the engine kind of takes over for the higher speeds. And it's not quite as fast, honestly, as what I thought it would be for the power figures. 332 pound-feet of torque is a lot. I'm not exactly sure if it's all that much faster than the traditional gasoline Rogue. We definitely like the turbocharged 3-cylinder that is in that model, but it's certainly not going to be like slow by any stretch of the imagination. You may have also noticed on that acceleration that we have an ECVT on board, so that's going to be your transmission on this model. You do also have standard all-wheel drive on the Rogue plug-in hybrid, so you don't have the option of getting front drive. And let's go ahead and get our sound level reading in this Rogue now that we're just kind of cruising down the highway. I have it on fan speed 1, and we are going 55 miles per hour. So let's go ahead and see how quiet it is. 59 decibels is what we are sitting at as our sound level reading in this model. I do want to point out that we are in Tennessee. However, this road surfacing does seem pretty similar to what we would have in Kentucky. We're just one state over, so it is pretty similar to what I would expect to see if we were to have this model back home. So that's a decent sound level reading. We don't have to sit here and guess, though. We can go to carconfections.com/sound level readings and see how it compares. And compared to the competition, that's not going to be the quietest thing that we have tested. However, it's not going to be an overly loud cabin. There are certainly options that are definitely louder. Now, I also want to talk about ride quality because with this model, of course, this is a family-oriented SUV, so you need to have good ride quality, and indeed we do. We saw this previously with the Outlander. We spent plenty of time with that model, and that just translates completely over here to the Rogue plug-in hybrid. You have really great ride despite the large wheels on the outside. These seats also very incredibly comfortable. I definitely love the way these seats feel. And the suspension, I think, also does a great job of just soaking up the bumps as you hit them in the road. Now, like Drew was saying, we do have 38 miles of all-electric range out of a 20 kilowatt-hour lithium-ion battery pack. Now, I do want to point out the elephant in the room that the Mitsubishi Outlander will be updated for 2026, and it's going to have more range, more power, and a larger battery pack, so that is something to keep in mind. If you're maybe cross-shopping the two, the Outlander will be updated to be a little bit better than this when it comes to overall plug-in hybrid specs, as well as the new RAV4 will have more all-electric range, and it, to me, feels quite a bit faster behind the wheel. We have already driven that new RAV4, so just a couple options if you're looking to cross-shop. And I do want to mention your fuel economy if you happen to deplete the battery, kind of like what we are at right now. 25, 27, 26 miles per gallon combined, so pretty good fuel economy even if you do fully deplete the battery. It is still a little bit less than what you'd find in the Nissan Rogue gasoline model. That 3-cylinder does get really good fuel economy. But now we've got a little bit of charge, so maybe we can get a all-electric acceleration. Yeah.
Very nice. Nice and smooth. It really doesn't feel much slower under just EV acceleration.
No, it honestly does not. I definitely like that. So if you plan on plugging this car in, I think you'll like the overall electric experience. Now's the point in the video where I normally would discuss pricing. However, Nissan has not officially released the pricing for this Rogue plug-in hybrid at the time of us making this video. That being said, I would use the Mitsubishi Outlander PHEV as a good reference point for what this might cost. Keep in mind there's only 2 trim levels and they are going to be higher end examples, so I would expect this to be pretty expensive and maybe top out around $50,000 when it goes on sale. Now, if you're looking to buy one of these or any new vehicle, we'd encourage you to go to carconfections.com/newcarquotes. The reason you should do that is because we have a tool on our website that will connect you with local car dealers in your area to get you the best price. It's also going to give you access to invoice pricing information, which is a great tool to use while dealership negotiating. If you'd like to take advantage of that, as well as things like our monthly payment tool, you can find a link to that down below in our video description, as well as a pinned comment at the top of this video. And guys, that wraps up our in-depth review of the all-new 2026 Nissan Rogue plug-in hybrid. If you enjoyed watching this video or found it helpful in your purchasing decision, which we hope you did, we'd appreciate you hitting that subscribe button down below. By subscribing, you're going to be a part of our Car Confections family. We have a lot of fun on this channel, and I promise you won't want to miss out. If you're already a part of our family, thank you so much for your continued support, and we'll catch you next time as we sample more of the latest automotive delicacies.